Good evening and welcome to Friday night's chat with another Sky Blue hero from our past. And tonight we have one of the biggest names in Australian football. He helped change the landscape in this country for the better as part of the golden generation. And his signing made a huge impact when he came back down under in 2011 to play out his final years with Sydney FC. Yes, it is Australia's fourth highest appearance maker, Mr. Brett Emerton. Good evening, Brett.
Good
How are
evening.
you guys?
Good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad at all. What's happening in your world at the moment? What are you up to, and what are you doing?
I'm still involved in football. I've got two young boys who are the ages of 10 and 13, playing at MacArthur Rams. So I'm now coaching with the juniors there in the SAP program. I'm currently the technical director. So really enjoying working with the young kids and obviously giving back to Australian football. Yeah,
you obviously were a huge influence on Australian football back in the day, that golden generation that I mentioned. And I also mentioned the fact that you were the fourth highest appearance maker with 95 caps, I believe. Only Lucas Neill, Tim Cahill and Mark Schwartz are ahead of you in that. How does that kind of make you feel now that you've sort of retired from the game and are looking back on that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's it's obviously a fantastic achievement and one which I'm very proud of. And I think it's not until you actually retire from the game and look back at what you were able to achieve till you really understand how lucky you were. And I feel very fortunate to have obviously played at a very high level, but to play for your country and play so many times is I really valued and treasured each and every time I put on the Australian jersey. And I wish I could wind back the clock and do it all again. But unfortunately, I can't. I guess now it's my job to obviously help create the next generation of Australian footballers who can take us even beyond what we were able to achieve as a generation.
What are they like from your point of view? I know you mentioned both your sons now play. The youngsters coming through that you see, particularly, or do they look like they're going to be the next generation?
Yeah, definitely. I think most of the kids I see these days are aged between the age of 9 and 12, and I mean they can do things with the ball that I never dreamed of at that age. So if they can continue on that same pathway, I think they can definitely become better than what we were.
And the golden generation at the time, did you guys feel that you were particularly special? I know obviously it was the first time that Australia had qualified for quite a few years for the World Cup, but a lot is still made of that 2006, 2005 or that era. Did you guys feel at the time that this was something special? Yeah,
I think as a group of players, we were all playing our football, most of us in Europe, in the biggest leagues around the world, and in some of the biggest clubs as well. So as a group, we always had the confidence that we could achieve something special. Even in 2005, going back to Sydney and being 1-0 down, we still had the belief that we would get the job done.
And I mean, that was obviously a special moment for you and for the rest of the team. But pick out the kind of the best moments that you had in that Socceroos era. I mean, you scored against England, I seem to remember, back at in 2003. I think that was at West Ham's ground. But I mean, were there any other huge moments that you remember?
Yeah, there was many. I think the obvious ones are obviously 2005 when we qualified for the World Cup for the first time in 32 years. Was if I had to pick one moment, I think that would be my highlight. I think just like many other Australian football fans, we suffered for so many years, being so close but not quite getting there. So to be part of a squad that finally achieved that goal was something really special. And then just the entirety of the 2006 World Cup itself was just something really special to be involved in.
You played in that game, the initial game against Japan, and obviously the final minutes of that were really something special, yeah?
Yeah, they were. And definitely the last 10, 15 minutes were really special. But I think under Gus Hiddink, he had us so well prepared as a team for every different scenario we might come across. So it wasn't a fluke. I think we changed the formation. We bring on big Josh Kennedy up top, and he caused all sorts of problems for the Japanese defence. And fortunately, Timmy and John Aloisi hit the back of the net for us and got the job done.
And just going forward into that World Cup campaign, we obviously playing Italy after the group stage. You obviously must have been disappointed by the fact that you went out. Do you think the Socceroos or the Australian team could have achieved something if they'd hung on? Because Italy were down to 10 men at the time, I seem to believe.
Yeah, I think I was actually suspended for that game, so obviously disappointed I didn't get to play. We had Harry Kewell missing as well through injury, so but yeah, I'm not sure what Goose was thinking. I think he was we had subs in hand. I think he was just maybe trying to hold on as long as he could before he bring on fresh legs, tire the Italians out, and hit them with a sucker punch. But unfortunately, it ended up being the other way around. And whether it was a penalty or not is still up for debate. I would say no, but unfortunately, that's football. And if you go to the ground in the box, then you run the risk of giving a penalty away. And unfortunately, that's what Lucas did. And it ended our campaign, but definitely no regrets. I think from myself or the team as a whole, we gave it absolutely everything we had, and I think we're all very proud of what we were able to achieve.
Well, it certainly was the highlight of the Socceroos campaign, getting that far in the World Cup. But for you, it all started back a few years earlier at Sydney Olympic. Back then, did you ever dream that one day maybe that you might be playing in a World Cup?
Obviously, you have dreams, but I think I was only 17 years old when I started playing at Sydney Olympic. It was my first professional contract, playing the old NSL. And I think from my perspective, I played football because I loved the game. I enjoyed it each and every time I turned up to training and got to play on weekends. I just loved playing football, and it was just a natural progression that if you played well, you got the opportunities to play for the Joeys, the young Socceroos, and so on. And I was lucky enough to represent Australia at all levels, 17s, 20s, got to play in the Sydney Olympics here in Australia, and then go on to represent, obviously, the national team 95 times, like you said. So it couldn't have gone much smoother for me. So very, very lucky.
And back in the day, I think you played alongside Nick Carl, but also Ian Rush turned out for Sydney Olympic for a few games back in that early 1990s part.
Yeah, it was a special moment for me as a young boy. I grew up watching the English Premier League and had a dream of playing there one day. So to see one of the best strikers, I guess, we've ever seen come out to Australia and play alongside him for 4 or 5 games was pretty special as a 17-year-old boy. That's for sure.
I can imagine. And after that, obviously, your move to Holland and Feyenoord happened. How did that all come about? And what sort of age were you? Was it about 18, 19? You moved to Feyenoord?
Yeah, I was 20. So like I just said before, I was playing when I was playing at Sydney Olympic. I was playing for the Joeys and the under-20s national team. So we would quite often tour overseas and play against national teams such as Holland, for example. So I was on their radar, I think, in Holland. And Dave Mitchell was my coach at Sydney Olympic at the time. So he was an ex-Feyenoord player himself. So obviously having that link with the club, he's recommended me, and I guess they've liked what they've seen, and that's how it all transpired.
And what a team they had as well at that stage. There were some big names.
Yeah, some huge names. Many players who were representing the Dutch national team at the time. We had Pierre van Hooijdonk, Paul Bosvelt. We had a young Robin van Persie, Zinji Ono, Jerzy Dudek, who was the goalkeeper for Liverpool for some time. So some really talented young footballers, up-and-coming young footballers, with the addition of some quality world-class senior players. So it was a great team to be part of.
What was your success like? I know you played UEFA Cup, I think, and potentially, was it Champions League as well, or just UEFA Cup?
Yes, we played UEFA Cup, which we actually won the competition in 2002. So that was, I guess, apart from representing Australia, probably the next biggest highlight in my career. And just playing in the Champions League and coming up against the likes of Ronaldo when he was at Inter Milan, and we just got to play against world-class opposition on a regular basis was really really cool.
And that's presumably where you were spotted and got the chance to play in what arguably is the greatest league in the world, the English Premier League, for 8 years for Blackburn Rovers. How did that whole move come about? I mean, did you have any other potential options at the time to move, or was Blackburn the only one?
No, I think probably from about 2001 onwards. I didn't move to Blackburn until 2003, but in 2001, 2002, I was lucky enough to have lots of different Premier League clubs interested in me. I think the first one was probably Leeds at the time when Harry and Viduka was playing. David O'Leary almost got me there, but Feyenoord wouldn't sell me. And the same goes for, I almost went to Liverpool at some stage, and I was very close going to Newcastle as well. So some massive clubs that were showing interest. Unfortunately, it never transpired, but in the end, 2003, I got my move to Blackburn. Graham Souness was the coach at the time, and I really enjoyed my time there. I spent, I think it was close to 9.5 years before I made the move back to Sydney. So to be able to stay at one club and stay, for me, in the Premier League for so many years was, a dream come true.
Yeah, it was a fantastic few years, particularly the fact that you had Lucas as well. I think Vinnie Grella at some stage. There was a heavy Australian influence in that Blackburn side back in the day. Yeah,
it was. It's always comforting to know you got other Aussies there with you. Lucas was there when I arrived, so which was great for me, and Vinnie Grella, as you said, a few years later on. So, a great bunch of boys there, and we had some successful years where we qualified for the UEFA Cup, and many years as well battling relegation. So it really was a little bit of a roller coaster ride over those almost 10 years, but very enjoyable nonetheless.
Do you remember any particular games? You had like nearly 250 games in the top flight of English football. Was there any that sort of stand out, and any players that you played against which you remember?
I think when I first arrived to England, like I said, was 2003, and that was when Arsenal had the Invincibles and they went the entire season undefeated. So I think playing against that Arsenal team, against the likes of Thierry Henry and Bergkamp, Pires, I think they often gave us a bit of a hiding, but as a player, you really appreciated how good they really were.
Yeah, they were fantastic. I mean, the step up for you obviously made it very well. The fact that you were there for 9.5 years, but did you find that initially maybe the step from the Dutch league to the Premier League was a big one, or? not too much at that stage?
No, I didn't find it very difficult at all. I think the Premier League really suited my style of play. It was a really high tempo, and I think that's part of my game, which I was known for. I was obviously very energetic and could run all day. So I think it suited my style perfectly. So it didn't take me much time at all to fit in.
And who were the guys at Blackburn who, during your career, sort of had the biggest influence on the team? I know they had two guys there for a little while. Even Dwight Yorke was there for a bit.
Yeah, when I arrived, so the strike partnership was Dwight and Andy Cole. So that was pretty special as well, because I grew up as a Manchester United supporter. So to go there and have Dwight and Andy Cole as teammates was pretty cool as well. You mentioned two guy. I think probably not a huge name in world football. Not a lot of people would probably know him, but he's a Turkish maestro, we call him, and on the ball he was just amazing. Really enjoyed playing with him. Other players throughout my time there, we had Benny McCarthy, the South African striker, Roque Santa Cruz, Craig Bellamy as well. So we were blessed with some really good quality strikers up top, and I'd probably have to give a mention to my Kiwi mate Ryan Nelson as well, who was there with me for many years and captained the team, but he was rock solid at the back.
Yeah, of course. But obviously that came to an end for Sydney FC's benefit, and in 2011 you made the move back down and to come and join the Sydney FC and the A-League, which was at the time. I remember it was such a huge coup to get yourself one of the golden generation, and also at the same time Harry Kewell joined Melbourne Victory. There was a lot of fanfare surrounding that. Do you remember much about it at the time? I mean, what did it feel like, I suppose, in the eye of the storm there?
Yeah, it was. It seemed like a pretty big deal at the time, and no, it was always my ambition to come back and finish my footballing career back in Australia. So to have the opportunity to sign for Sydney FC was excellent. And I remember obviously Harry signing for Victory as well, and we actually played them in Melbourne the first game that season. I think it finished 1-1, and I think I missed a penalty to win it. So not the ideal start, but I try and forget, but I can't. It was obviously a pleasure to come back and play for the club.
Yeah, there was that first season, I think you scored a fantastic free kick against Central Coast Mariners, which we've got here, which I suppose really put yourself on the map in terms of having come back and starting to play for Sydney FC. Do you remember much about this particular goal?
Finally, the moment Sydney
I
FC
think I
fans
remember
have been waiting for.
Yeah,
their marquee man Brett Emerton finding the back
yeah,
of the net.
I think it was my first goal. Did you say that? It was my first goal.
Yes,
for Sydney FC. Yeah. So yeah, always nice to get on the score sheet, but to score a free kick from, I think it's 20-25 yards is always nice. Unfortunately, I think the couple of years I spent at the club, obviously getting old and injuries kind of caught up with me a little bit. So in that regard, obviously a little bit disappointing, but nonetheless, obviously feel very blessed that I had the opportunity to come back and finish my career playing in my home city in front of family and friends. Yeah,
because at the time the league was really on an upward turn, having come through that period of 2 World Cups as well with the Socceroos, and obviously you and Harry did a lot to increase the popularity of the sport. I also remember a game at Cogra, which is now the Sydney FC home ground, against Brisbane Roar, where we ended their 36 match unbeaten run. And do you remember? I think it was in the first minute. There was a corner kick which you took and were able to score from.
Yeah, no, I remember it. It was I think I was helped a little bit with a heavy breeze, but nonetheless, it did go in, and like you said, we were able to end a long winning streak of theirs. They were obviously a fantastic team, one of the best the A-League's ever seen. So it's probably one of my fondest memories, that game at Cogra, defeating Brisbane.
Yeah, in fact, actually, I tell a lie. I think Dimi Petratos, who later went to play for Brisbane, he scored the goal within the first couple of minutes. But then, you took that corner kick. Were you planning on sticking that one in the back of the net, or was it just the
no,
the wind that the character?
I think you obviously try and put the ball in a good area for the attackers to attack, and fortunately for me, it went in. I think if anyone says it's deliberate, I think they're lying. Yeah,
it was definitely a moment that people still remember in Sydney FC's history. And then, obviously, after that, the second season, you became a teammate with Alessandro Del Piero. How did that kind of feel? Was that a surprise for you?
Yeah, it was a surprise. No, it was great for me. Obviously, I respected him greatly as a player, and I think what he was able to achieve at his age at Sydney and the performances he was able to put in was magnificent. And I think he was a perfect example, I guess, to the younger generation, especially the young boys playing at the club, what it takes to be one of the best players in the world. I mean, he's 40 years old, and here he is, the last one back at training, practicing his free kicks, and there's no wonder why he's one of the best. So I try and, I guess, pass that on to all young players these days, but the talent alone is not enough, that you need to combine that with hard work. And from my experiences and all the great players I've been able to play with and against, that's one thing they all have in spades is commitment and just the ability to work hard each and every day.
Do the young boys ask you about what do they ask you about the kids who you coach at the moment? What do they ask you about in terms of playing and the people that you played with and how to approach the game?
Yeah, well, I think most of them are too young to remember me as a player. So I think it's all from what they can Google and search on the internet. But yeah, it's obviously they hear from mum and dad. I guess what I was able to achieve, and they still look up to me. And I enjoy being able to give them advice and enjoy trying to make them better players and people on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think I remember as well in the second game of Alessandro's career at Sydney FC, maybe it was the second home game at ANZ Stadium, that he scored a penalty early on, and you were able to score quite a decent goal as well off the back of that. Do you remember the one that you scored in the second half against Perth? Yeah,
that was a chip from just outside the box, was it? Yeah. Did I chip the keeper? Yeah. Yeah. No, it's always been a good hunting ground for me, the ANZ Stadium. When I played there, I've always managed to play well or get on the score sheet. So always enjoyed my football there. But definitely remember that goal as well.
Yeah, I think that was his or maybe his 800th game in his career. So it was also pretty special. And we had a really good crowd there at the ground. I'm just trying to put the actual goal itself, but yeah, just that team around that time with Alessandro, did they get a good sense of pride playing alongside him, or even a bit more his influence helped them to lift their game a little bit?
Yeah, I'd like to think so, and I would hope that especially the younger players
The 10-man glory then coughed up
learn a lot from
possession
him.
in
I mean,
dangerous territory.
when I was
Brett
there,
Emerton made them
players
pay.
like Sebastian Roll would have been a young and up-and-coming player, and he's gone on to obviously been quite successful, especially in the last few years. So I'm sure if you spoke to him, he would tell you the same thing, that he's maybe learnt two things from the great man. So no, I think he's definitely had a positive influence on Sydney FC and obviously the A-League and Australian football.
Yeah, I actually spoke. Well, I think you meant Ryan Grant, but I spoke to him the other night.
Sorry, I meant Ryan Grant. Sorry.
Yeah. And he was saying just the same sort of thing. Yeah, he learned a lot back in those days because he was just coming through. Obviously, with yourself coming back into the team and the likes of Alessandro as well, that he learned a great deal. And now it's providing the Australian national team with a fantastic fullback, obviously. What about some of the other games that you played in? I seem to remember there was one game against Central Coast Mariners where you scored in the last minute. I think we got the goal here. Maybe that's the wrong goal, but there was a header towards the end of the game. It was a really fiery game that was played, and I think even Mariners might have had a couple of players sent off. But we managed to win the game in the last dying seconds, and it was thanks to a header from yourself.
Yeah, well, I remember that one because I didn't score too many headers in my career. I wasn't as good in the air as Timmy Cahill was, but no, I do remember the goal, and I think it was like you say, it was an important one because I think it was right at the end of the game to win it, and I think it was an important time of the season as well where we desperately needed the 3 points.
Yeah, we're just looking at it now. I think Del Piero knocked it out wide to can't quite see who that is, but yeah, it was a header at the back post, and I seem to remember that was the last game Tommy Rogic played in Australia as well.
Yeah, right.
And Graham Arnold was head coach of the Mariners at the same time. So that was a one that sticks in the memory and will stick in the memory for a long time. So yeah, a lot of fun back then. But obviously, all good things have to come to an end, and you actually retired from the game the season after that. Do you remember the decisions and why you took those decisions back towards the back end of that 3 years you were at Sydney FC?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, like I touched on before, I think injuries played a very large part in my decision to retire from playing football, and I think through the injuries, I wasn't enjoying playing as much as I once did, and once you stop enjoying what you do, obviously your performance starts to suffer as well. So I thought it was probably the fairest thing to myself and to the club that I'll walk away from my contract. The club were excellent, and they understood the reasons why. Because definitely the last 6 months of my career, I was only able to play because I was getting injections to enable me to carry on, and just come to a point where enough is enough, and I didn't want to destroy my body and not be able to run around and kick a ball in the backyard with my kid or go out there and coach others in the future. So they're just some of the reasons why I made the decision, and I think it was the right one at the right time.
You got a fantastic reception, I seem to remember. We've got a picture there of you, your two boys and wife walking onto the pitch. Do you remember that before one of our games?
Yeah, definitely. I've got photos of home of myself, my wife, and my two boys. Walking on and obviously saying thank you and goodbye to all the fans there. So yeah, great memories. And obviously, I wish I could go back and do it all again, but I've had my time. It's someone else's time now, and I just hope I can be part of maybe shaping the future of Australian football.
What about your own two boys? Are they any good? Can we see a potential Emerton of the future come into play for Sydney FC?
I think every dad's critical of their own kids, but no. Look, it's doesn't matter what level you play at. You just need to go out there and enjoy it. And like I said before, that's why I got involved in the game. And I didn't dream. I don't think I dreamt as a kid of representing Australia. I just went out there and I played and trained because I absolutely loved it. And that would be my advice to young kids. If you enjoy doing what you're doing, you can't overtrain. Just have fun and develop your skills and see where it takes you.
Well, Brett, we definitely had fun watching you play throughout your career and watching all the success you achieved, not just with the Sydney FC, but obviously with the Socceroos over that time. And it was a fantastic career. Really, thank you for coming on tonight and having a chat about it. We'll let you get on with your Friday night and enjoy the public holiday weekend. And hopefully, I know you like a bit of surfing, so hopefully you might be able to get out there the weekend and do a bit of that.
Yeah, it's it'll be nice. But no, thanks for having me. I obviously enjoyed my time at the club and can't wait to see the Sydney FC team obviously back out there in the park playing again. I think we all miss football, so look forward to the Sky Blues being out there and winning some more matches and hopefully the Premiership this season.
Fantastic. I'm sure it'll happen. We look forward to seeing you at one of those games in the not too distant future. But thanks again, Brett, and best of luck for the young boys that you're coaching.
Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks for having me. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Brett. Speak soon.
Thanks, Dave.